Bismillah walhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salam ala rasulillah. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla, wa anta ya hayyu ya qayyum, taj'alul hazna in shi'ta sahla. Allahumma arzuqna niyatin khalisatan liwajhika al-kareem. Lillahi ta'ala. Okay. The Shaykh, may Allah protect him, said, as we said, our master Abu Bakr is from Bani Taym, and our master Umar, radiyallaahu anhuma, is from Bani Adi. Oh, we did this lesson. It's not this lesson. Here we go. We said that since the beginning of his rulership, the caliphate of Umar radiyallahu anhu, he urged the people to go and face the Persians. Because remember, in Asham, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he took a part of the army from Iraq where they faced the Persians. They took him to Bilad al-Sham where they faced the Romans. So after that first day that he took the caliphate, Umar radiallahu anhu started to urge the Muslims, gather reinforcements for the people of Iraq because they were few in number. So he urged the people to face the Persians, so they did. A battle took place and it was called the Battle of Al-Jisr, the bridge. And you know, we talked about the bridge. And this was very hard on the Muslims. Around 4,000 Muslims were killed in that battle. Radiyallahu anhum. And what remained were only about 3,000 fighters in the area facing the Persians. Then Umar radiyallahu anhu took care of sending reinforcements to the Muslims that were standing against the Persians. After that battle, the Muslims that remained didn't just wait for Umar radiyallahu anhu to send reinforcements, but rather they used to attack them in different areas. They fought several battles and they won these battles. For example, in one of these battles, there were 100 Muslims who killed 10 of the enemies, and other than them who killed 9, 8, etc. Despite what occurred to them in the Battle of Al-Jisr, they did not collapse. As we mentioned before, the Persians did not have any difference of opinion or differences in their rulership at that time. They had it prior. Then they gathered, they chose a person, and they united around him. They found one of the ruling family. They agreed to obey him. They appointed him as the king. They put all their efforts in serving their king. His name was Yazdajar. When our master Umar knew about that, he did not feel comfortable. He was concerned about it. So he went to the different rulers, the Muslim rulers in different areas, asking everyone who is able to fight or has weapons or has a horse or is clever, he knows how to manage things, to send him to him. So they started doing that. He sat with the people of Medina, Umar radiallahu anhu, and he told them, I want to know your opinion. He said, now the Persians have one king that rules them and they obey him. What do you think we should do? I am thinking to go and lead the battles myself. What do you think? Most of the people agreed with that. They said it is a good idea to do that, except the elite among the companions said, we do not think you should do that. Because if you go and lead the battle and you are hurt, then we don't know what will happen to the Muslims. Maybe they will be in chaos and harmed severely. Stay in Medina, send armies. If, for example, one army is defeated then send reinforcements, etc. Umar radiyallaahu anhu thought about it, and he agreed with them. He agreed with the opinion of the latter. Among those who gave that opinion was Ali radiyallahu anhu and Abdul Rahman ibn Auf and others. And you know the status of Abdul Rahman and Ali radiyallahu anhuma. He said, then suggest to me someone that I can appoint as a leader for the Muslims to face the Persians. They said, we suggest a person who is like a lion. His name is Sa'd ibn Malik, or better known as Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, one of the 10 best of the companions, the 10 companions who were given the news of paradise. So Umar radiallahu anhu appointed Sa'd as the leader of the army who would be facing the Persians. So Sa'd immediately went to Al-Iraq, and our master Umar radiallahu anhu sent him one group of fighters after another until they reached about 30,000 fighters. He did not exempt any heads or figures among the Muslims, nor any poets, nor any clever person who knew how to manage, from sending them with Sa'd. So the people that were with Sa'd we're talking about the figures, the elites of the companions and the Muslims of the time. So he said, he gave him some advice. Umar radiallahu anhu, he would send messages to him one after another and making suggestions, and he was firm in certain issues. He would say, beware of this or that, don't start fighting here or there, etc. He would give instructions, and he would be certain and firm in certain advices that he gave repeatedly. Amongst them was, he said that you should pray the prayer in the best of its time, despite the situation that they're in. Not just to do the prayer, of course, but to do it in the best of the time. And he kept urging them to do that. And he said, stay away from sinning. Be trustworthy. Don't ignore that. Do not betray. He made these instructions one time after another in a firm way. When the army gathered there, he told them to choose a place between the countries of the Arabs and the Persians, the border between the two. Of course, it is clear why that is, because sending reinforcements would be easy, it would be safer, and if they needed to retreat, the opposing army would not be able to follow them, and they would not be surrounded. So Sa'd sent 10 Muslims to the Persian king to talk to him. And who was the Persian king? His name was Yazdajard. So he sent 10 Muslims who were clever, not just taking the message, but they were people who can think and reply. And these 10, when they entered the Persian land, when they looked at them, they were scared, because these 10 looked like 1,000 to them. So when they went to them, they asked to speak to the ruler, and usually the ruler does not speak himself. But by this time, the news of the companions had reached all over the world, so he wanted to see who these companions were himself, the Persian king. So he started to talk with them, and he started to degrade and despise them. And these 10 companions that were sent, or 10 people that he sent, They were not only courageous, but they were very clever. So they started talking to him. The king started talking to them, and he said, saying, you were always like servants for us. Why are you attacking us? Do you need food? He was saying, or is it because we were busy because they had some turmoil between kings, they couldn't decide on a king? Or we were busy doing that and we didn't pay attention to you? Is this why you're taking advantage of us now? You have come to our border and you're trying to attack us? So one of the 10 responded a brief answer. He said, we were ignorant people. We did not know the right path. Allah guided us. He sent us a messenger, Sallallaahu, alaihi, who guided us to the right path. He showed us good things and he showed us what are the bad things. And he warned us not to do them. He promised us that we will be rewarded if we do what he says. After a period of time, Allah ordered him with jihad. So he did that with the people who were close to him. Yeah, there were people surrounding him. Then he ordered us to move to those who were further. So we call you to follow our religion. It is a religion that says about the good that it is good and about the bad that it is bad. If you agree and follow our religion, you will be Muslims, you will be our brothers, and we will not interfere in your country. You free to do what you want. We will not interfere. You will be our Muslim brother. If you refuse, then we ask you to pay al-Jizyah. And we will take the Jizya from you and we will protect you. And if you refuse, then we will fight. And when you're saying taking the Jizya and we will protect you, remember the differences in armies. There's between the Muslims, some of them didn't even have a shield. They would use a saddle for a shield. They, some of them, they didn't have horses and didn't have armory and all of those things that the Persian Empire had elephants, huge armies and armors. And so here's a group of people that he's saying, oh, they're coming and you pay us and we will protect you. So or otherwise we will fight, he said. So we will take it from you. And then, if you refuse, we will fight. Another companion, he spoke as well. He started to explain to them about Islam so that they would embrace Islam. He said, if you don't embrace Islam, then you choose between two. Pay al-Jizyah, and while you're humiliated, or the sword is between us. So this companion was a little bit more firm to make him understand. And the king got angry at this. He said, how dare you speak to a person like me, like with his status, he was saying, how dare you speak to me like that? They said, well, you chose to speak to us. You didn't appoint someone so we can tell you the message. You chose to speak yourself, so now you're hearing it. So the man, he ordered them to leave, and he did not harm those Muslims. And it was a custom at that time, the rules of war, when they would send from one army to another army, they would not harm the person that they had sent. So they went back. Yes, those Muslims went back, and Yazdajar, he had the leader of his army, one of the leaders. His name was Rustum. In Farsi we call him Rustam. Rustum. He was the highest leader among the armies. He chose him to lead that army. So the Muslims had a plan to go into battle. The Muslims did not have a plan to go into battle immediately, but rather to let some time pass. This was to make some small attacks here and there, to weaken their morale and make them afraid before the battle starts. Then the army of the Persians were completed and gathered. So they were also bringing members and in that place, and the Muslims were sending people. We said the Muslims were around 30,000. There was around 3,000 that were there, so around 30,000 that came. And when the Persian army became 120,000, so what is the difference here? 30 to 120? 1 in 4? Yeah, 4 times bigger than them. Rustam was the leader. He looked at his army, and with conceit and arrogance, he said, he looked at the army, and he was with conceit and arrogance, and he wore 2 armors, one armor over the other. He wore the helmet, and despite all the armor and the helmet, he jumped and he landed on top of his horse. So he was a very strong fighter. And he rode his horse, and he told his army, tomorrow we're going to crush them. And one of the person next to him said to him, say inshallah. He said, even if Allah doesn't will. He had become very arrogant due to his numbers and his wealth. And he said what he said. Three days before the battle, Saad kept sending people to convince the ruler to embrace Islam. He refused until one night. And you remember when we say this battle took place, remember the story of the Prophet ﷺ when he was born. When the Prophet ﷺ was born, we said, what happened on the night that he was born? 14 balconies of the Persian ruler Kisra fell. And he also had a dream. And someone told him that the meaning of his dream is that after 14 kings, the Persian Empire and its kingdom will collapse, never to come back again. And this was during this time. 14 kings had already passed quickly. I remember we said in 1 year, 10 of them replaced each other. So Saad, 3 days before, he kept encouraging the people to send the rulers to the ruler that he would embrace Islam, and he kept refusing. All the figures among the Muslims started to go among the army, encouraging them, trying to raise their morale. They would say, be thankful to Allah. Allah guided you. What is waiting for you is either being a martyr, so you will go into paradise, or you will win and you would take the spoils. So some said each tribe is encouraging them. Some of them said, oh, you Bani Mad. Mad is a great-great-grandfather of the Arabs. You don't have an excuse today if you fall short. You have your fortress with you. That means your horses. And in your hand you have that which does not disobey you, meaning your sword. You have your horses and your swords, so you don't have an excuse if you fall short. You are Muslims. You know the real value of this dunya, and you know the value of the akhirah, the hereafter. So seek the hereafter and do not attach your hearts to this dunya. They spend the night like this, reciting Al-Quran, saying statements of encouragement, raising the morale of the Muslims. Likewise, the Persians were among them who were raising their morale. They had 30 elephants in that army. With each elephant were 30,000 fighters. They protected the elephants, and in turn the elephants protected them. As usual, the Muslims started to recite Surat al-Anfal. Before battle, they would recite Surat al-Anfal. Inshallah, when you recite the surah, it brings tranquility and peace in your heart. They felt calm. They felt that they're going to win this battle. When they arrived, the two armies took their positions. One among the Persians walked between the two armies, stood there in the middle, and asked for a duel. This man was a very famous fighter amongst them. One of the companions, called Amr ibn Ma'ad Karid, faced him. As soon as the fight started, he lifted him up, slammed him to the ground, and then killed him. Then he turned to the Muslims and he said, "This is what you should do to them." Then the fighting started. The Persians pushed the elephants to the front. The elephants attacked a part of the Muslim army which had a tribe called Bajila. They tried to defend themselves. A lot of them were hurt, to the point that this tribe, almost like all of the members, got killed or injured. So Sa'd radiyallaahu anhu sent another tribe. Sa'd was the appointed leader. Umar radiyallaahu anhu had the leader. So Sa'd sent another tribe, Banu Asad, which means the tribe of the lions. They told each other, "You are called this name because you're similar to the lion. So do as the lion does." So they were able to stop the advance of the elephants, but about 500 among them were killed. So Sa'd sent a third tribe to help them. He asked them, "Do you know a way how to stop these elephants?" They said, "Yes. The belts that hold these boxes on their back would be cut off." So they went to help their brothers. They cut off their belts and their tails. You know, it's not easy because they used to have armors, they used to have people around them. So it's not easy, just don't go walk up to it. So they're able to do that. They're able to cut off the belts and to cut off their elephants' tails. So the soldiers that rode the elephants fell. The elephants made sounds of pain and went back towards the Persian camp. Then it became easier for Bani Asad to continue fighting and push the Persians back to their original positions. The fighting continued this way the whole day until nightfall. Then they stopped fighting to take rest. As was usual, at the habit of that time, they would stop fighting at night time. Before the battle took place, Umar radiyallahu anhu was thinking how to help the Muslims. So he ordered half of the army that was in Sham to go to Iraq. So he appointed Hashim ibn Utbah as a leader, so they went there. So the army, because we said there are only 30,000, so there's an army in Sham that he directed them to go towards Iraq. And Hashim ibn Utbah as their leader. Hashim sent as an advance force of about 1,000 ahead with a leader. His name was al-Qa'qa'. And al-Qa'qa' is a very fierce fighter. He's a very great companion, that in battle he was just amazing. So he's the one, you remember who is al-Qa'qa'. He was the one that Abu Bakr radiyallaahu anhu sent as a reinforcement alone by himself. When the Muslims asked for reinforcement, he sent one man to them who was like 1,000. So al-Qa'qa' with this advanced force, the 30,000 were going to come, but this 1,000 is going to get there quickly. So he rushed towards them, and he got to the area with his soldiers. Reached the area. He got there in the morning of the second day. So the battle had not started yet. Of the second day, he got there. And the Persians were also sending reinforcements. So al-Qa'qa' said to his forces, don't go all together. So right before reaching the Muslims, he told his soldiers, don't go as one group. Rather go 10 after 10. So go 10 of you to a distance until there's you're far from the other 10. Then another 10 would go, another 10 would go. This way the Muslims thinking, they would see people coming and coming and coming. They would think that we have a lot in number. In reality, they were only 1,000. So he did that. And also the Persians, they would look, they would see the reinforcement just keeps coming and coming. So then, when the last one arrived, he told the Muslims, don't worry, the rest of the army is still coming. We're an advanced force. So as soon as he arrived, a long way from Sham, from area of Sham to Iraq, traveling by foot on horses in a quick way. As soon as he got there, al-Qa'qa', he went towards the two armies. He went between the two armies, stood there, and he asked, who will fight me? He just got there, and he went immediately to that place, and he said, who will fight me? Traveling throughout the night. So when the Muslims saw that, they knew why Abu Bakr radiyallaahu anhu had said that about him. That a person like him in the army, that army inshallah will not be defeated. So one of the Persians, he stepped forward to fight. Qa'qa' said to him, who are you? He said, I am Bahman Jazaway. He was the leader of the Persians in the Battle of the Bridge. Al-Qa'qa' said, then now I will take revenge for Abu Ubaid and those with him. So they fought. Al-Qa'qa' was victorious. Then he said again, who wants to fight? Two of the army, opposing armies, stepped forward, and one Muslim stepped forward as well to help. So they had 2-on-2, and they were both victorious. Then the battle started on the second day. During that day, al-Qa'qa' attacked the Persian army 30 times. And every time he would put down some among them. The Persians did not have their elephants on the second day because all the belts were broken. They were busy trying to repair the box. So there were no elephants on the second day. And the Muslims, they did something similar to them. They put some clothing on top of their camels in a way that when the horses of the Persians would see those camels, they would get scared and run away. So they didn't their horses were rendered useless for them because the horses, when they would try to go near, they would see the camels they put some things on top of the camels that scared the horses away. In that day, the Muslims had the higher hand, the upper hand, and the big number of the Persian army were put down. The Muslims fought in a very brave way. One of them was struck on his stomach, and his intestines came out. When his intestines came out, he told the person next to him, he said, help me put these intestines back in. So the person helped him. He kept one hand on his stomach, and he continued to fight. He could have gone back to the Muslim camp for repair, but he continued to fight until he was killed, he died as a martyr. And they kept fighting like this until night fell. The two sides stopped fighting after the second day. The Sheikh said, some of you played soccer before. Can you play from morning till night? And then the next day you're playing from morning, and this is just a game. So it's very difficult. In those days, it was very difficult to go out and battle. So during that night, the Muslims did something. Al-Khattaab took his troops between the army, from amongst the army to a place away from the army. So remember, he had a group of about 1,000. He took his soldiers from among the Muslims. He took them far away, and then he told them they rested over there. Tomorrow came, and he told them to come small group at a time once again. So Al-Khattaab was with the Muslims, and when he would see the group coming, he said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then the rest of the people would say, so thinking, the Muslims who were there was thinking there's more reinforcements that are coming. Then afterwards, he told some of them, don't worry, the reinforcements, the other army is still on its way. And when the last person arrived, the other army came. So he said, if we do this, if the other army reached there, then there's no harm in what we're doing. But if they didn't reach there, their morale would still be raised until they come. When the last Muslim did that amongst the group, the other army that was from Asham arrived. So remember, the leader was Hashim ibn Utbah, who was the leader of that army. When he came, he did the same thing. When he arrived, he went between the two armies with his bow and arrow. He took his bow and arrow, and he tried to shoot, and instead his horse was hit in the ear. So he went back to his people. He said, if this would have gone, where would it have reached? They said, that place between the army. So he took his horse by himself, and he attacked the army. And he kept fighting until he reached that place. Then he kept fighting until he returned. And he didn't do that out of amusement. See, when they did these things, it's not just to amuse people, but this is to raise the people's morale. It affected them. It affected both sides. Both sides, when they would see things like this, they would get affected. The other side would be more fearful, and this side would be stronger as a result. In battles, the morale is very important. So anyhow, on the third day, the Persians had the elephants again. So they made those repairs, and they had the elephants. The fighting kept going on the whole day again, on the third day. But the elephants did not affect the Muslims like it did the first day, because they were more cautious in trying to protect the elephants. So they put more soldiers around each elephant, And all the elephants they could see is people around them, their own people. And so they were not ferocious anymore. And during that day, one might say that they were equal in positions. Each side affected the other severely, but they were about equal on the third day. The Persian king had a line of men standing at a certain distance from the battlefield to his palace. So every distance there was another person who would take his message. Anything that's happening in the battlefield, he would know in a very short amount of time, and he would send his orders and they would receive it in a very short amount of time. As for Sa'ad, and this day, he was very sick. He couldn't even sit. So he could not lay on his back. So he chose a high place in elevation. He lied on his stomach to watch what is going on, and he would give instructions from there. He lied down on top of a wall to do this. And he was in a very dangerous place, because if the Muslims retreated a little bit, the Persians would take him. And this would be like a demoralizing effect, that the Muslim leader would be taken. He was not far from that area. He was able to see from that high ground the battle. Al-Qaqa asked, how do we kill these elephants? Some people said, the weakness is in the trunks and their eyes. So he ordered some men to distract the elephants. Him, Al-Qaqa, and his brother, they went towards the elephants. And both of them carrying a spear. And each one got close enough, and they threw the spear, and each one got the eye. Him and his brother. Then they started to stab the elephant with their spear, with their spears on their head, until it's lowered its head. When they did that, they cut off its trunk. Then the elephants fell down dead. When the Muslims saw that, they did that to the other elephants. On this third day, the night fell again, but this time they could not separate to take rest. Rather, the fighting continued throughout the night. They are not talking anymore. The people who were fighting, they're not talking. They're not saying anything. But rather, they're making sounds. If you get tired after 3 days of fighting, you'll know what I'm talking about. Sa'ad wanted to bring the Muslims back so they can rest. After the third day of fighting, he wanted to bring everyone back. But Al-Qaqa, he was deep with his group, and they could not go back. So Sa'ad saw that. He started to pray to Allah to support them and give them victory. So the fighting was led by Al-Qaqa and his tribe of Banu Tamim. When the tribe of Banu Asad saw what was going on, because at nighttime they separate, but when the tribe of Banu Tamim and Al-Qaqa leading them, they could not separate. They were kept fighting. So Bani Asad also went and joined. And one needs to take the permission of the ruler. He gives the orders like that. And when Sa'ad saw that, he said, "Oh Allah, forgive them. Forgive them and support them and give them victory." And then the other Muslims started to attack. So they were fighting in the nighttime now. After 3 days of fighting, the whole day, then nighttime, they're fighting, continuing in the nighttime. So he started to make dua, "Oh Allah, support them, give them victory." When the morning, so that the Saad got to a point where he could not see what was happening. It's nighttime. The Persian king, he could not give any instructions, and Rustam, their leader, could not give any instructions. The people are fighting, and is no longer with any instructions. It's just not talking and just continuing to fight in the night. When the morning appeared, Saad started to hear the Muslims, each one of them saying, calling the members, we're saying, we're Bani Fulan, and we did such and such. We're Bani Fulan, we're the tribe of such and such, and we did such and such. So when Saad heard that, he felt relief, because this is not what a defeated person would say. He felt that they're in a good position, and this shows their high morale. So al-Qa'qa started to go amongst them and say, be patient for a short period of time. Just a small amount of period of time. If you're patient now, inshallah, the one who's patient at this time will get the victory. Just a little bit more. We know you're very tired, but be patient. A little bit more. And at that time, it is, as he said, they were patient. They kept the fighting until the Persians suddenly started to run away, and they started to run away. They started to retreat and run away. When that happened, they went to the place where after Rustum, and he was hiding behind a mule that was carrying a load. So somebody hit the belt, and the load fell on top of his back. And somebody went and killed him. This is despite the big difference between the weapons of the two armies. Some of the Muslims did not even have a shield. He would use a saddle as a shield. As for the Persian army, they had shields, armors. Sometimes the Muslims would strike, it would not affect. He would, with a sword, he would do one strike and it wouldn't have effect. So another took his spear and he hit it in a very strong blow till it pierced. And he said, this is how you do it. Because of the armors that we're wearing. They would wear chains as armors, because the slashing is prevented by those chains, and the piercing would be prevented. And other type of armors and helmets. This battle was called the Battle of Qadisiyyah. After this battle, the Muslims went in different directions in Iraq. Iraq was under the Persian Empire. So they went to different areas of Iraq. But this battle was the decisive battle for the opening of Iraq. The Muslims displayed a great trustworthiness. After this battle, they gained a lot of spoils. They gained a lot of money, gold, silver, etc. A Muslim soldier would come carrying a bag of gold, another bag of silver or jewelry or the like, and he would put it with the spoils and divide it in the proper way. If he had taken it, no one would know. But they wouldn't do that, because the spoils has to be divided between the soldiers. Some would be given to the caliphate and the like. One does not take the spoils like that for himself and run away with it. So they displayed great trustworthiness. One of them brought a whole lot of money, golden coins, and he brought it and he put it with the spoils. And somebody asked him, "What's your name?" He said, "Why do you want to know my name?" He wouldn't give his name because he was worried about his intention, that he does it for the sake of Allah. He didn't give him his name. He said, "I want what is عند Allah. I want the reward from Allah." He placed it and he left. Because of such conduct, Allah raised their ranks. May Allah facilitate the good things for us and make us stay away from the bad. And the area, you know that when the battles took place in this area, the Qadisiyyah, then they were able to open different areas. So finally, the Persian Empire, when we say the Persian Empire, They were not Muslims. So then this area, when the Muslims went there, the companions went, they called the people to Islam. This area became Muslims. And later on, this area would be fighting, defending Islam. Never to go back to the previous rulership of the Persian Empire that had existed. It will never go, inshaAllah ta'ala. So this entire region, because of the companions, went to this, and they continued to go to different areas of Iran and Afghanistan, and in the northern parts of Iran and Afghanistan, and the other areas, Samarkand, Bukhara, and all these areas, they were able to go, and through their good conduct, their teachings, the people embraced Islam, one city after another city after another city, till Islam spread into the entire area. May Allah Ta'ala raise their ranks. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sallallaahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad Taha al-Amin.